Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 322 of the HHH Racing Podcast with our new name to our flagship show called Picks and Ponies. Welcome to the first episode of Picks and Ponies, but really it's episode 322 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Happy New Year, everyone. It is 2024. It's our first show of the year. Thank you very much for joining us as we are here to cover the Jerome Stakes, which is a Kentucky Derby prep Saturday at Aqueduct and also the late pick 5. Please make sure you smash that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Hit the notification bell so you know when new content will rise, and press that like button, that thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate it. That will send the YouTube algorithm to our channel and send anyone who loves horse racing right here to the HHH Racing Podcast. Of course, you can follow me on X right there at H Kravitz. Let's get to 2,000 followers on X. We're like at 1,900 plus. If you have friends that are interested in horse racing at all, or would like to follow us, please make sure you tell them to follow us here at H Kravitz so we can hit that 2K mark on X. Of course, you can also email me hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. And scrolling at the bottom of the screen, we also have our shows coming up. And we'll talk about Horsing Around right there, which is our brand new show coming up on Mondays. But you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Our tip sheet, almost $2 ROI for 2023. Overall, close to $2.25 as we're on year 4. Please look below the video player if you're interested in our Power Picks tip sheet. It's an excellent way to win some money at a very good value. Go to our website, hhracingpodcast.com, and follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/HHH Racing Podcast. Now, brand new show. It's going to be on Monday nights. You can read below. It's always going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. Actually, all of our shows from now on, to make it simple, are going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, except for our very first show of Horsing Around, because of the NCAA football game championship this Monday. We're going to start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, the show is a little bit shorter. It's only about 35, 40 minutes approximately. And it's a recap show. That's part of it, where we're going to talk about stake race from the past weekend. In this case, will be the Jerome. But we're also going to talk about interesting horse racing topics of the day with a lot of questions from you guys. And we're also going to have a special guest each Monday. It could either be someone more famous in the horse racing world, or it'll be just a fan. So we'd love to hear from you. We're going to have fans of the show live on the podcast helping us answering your questions. I think it's important to incorporate our fans. So you're going to see people who you see in the chat. You see their names, but you don't see their faces. Well, now you're going to see some of their faces. So we'll be bringing on fans as well on Monday nights. And the big part is we need you to be very active in the live chat on Monday nights with questions you have about horse racing or anything in general. And this Monday, we're going to have Jim Pillars, who is one of the very first viewers and listeners of this show. He's a friend of mine, a friend of the show. Really great guy with some interesting horse racing insights. He's not in the business. He's just a fan of the show. So I thought I want to pay homage to our fans, and we'll have Jim Pillars on this Monday night along with Paul Halloran. Now, we're also going to have one co-host. So it'll be myself, one co-host, either Pete and Paul or one of the Bet and Boozin guys, and also a fan of the show and or a special guest. So there'll be 3 of us on screen for our Monday shows. Again, please spread the word, because if we don't have a lot of viewers for our Monday shows, which again is called Horsing Around, then we really don't need to have it continue. So we really need your support on Monday nights. So now we have shows Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Thursday nights, all 8 o'clock Eastern, except for only this Monday, the first show for Horse and Around, which will be at 7 p.m. to accommodate the college football championship game. Okay, that takes care of all the particulars and administrative items. Let's bring on my fantastic co-host. First, from the East Coast of Maryland, Mr. Pete Visco and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Saratoga Special and Eclipse voter as well, Paul Halloran. Guys, Happy New Year. Hope you had a wonderful New Year's Eve. Welcome to 2024.
Happy New Year.
Hey, Pete, very important question. With the new show, we're gonna lose our seniority, aren't we? Our pay scale, we're going back to like we're starting today, aren't we?
That's probably right. It's starting to spread a little thinner now. We might have to strike. We might have to go.
He's a sharp one, that Mr. Kravitz.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Paul, because I've got some news for you that you might be interested in that I've not told anyone yet. I'm going to make it official right now. You might be wondering, why am I wearing the Adelphi hat? Of course, Adelphi, proud sponsors of us in 2023. Had a conversation with Matt Cuterre this week. I put a video out for a year review for Adelphi Racing Club, one of our favorite racing clubs around, based out of New York, with the wonderful racing manager Matt Cuterre, is once again a proud sponsor of the HGH Racing Podcast in 2024. What does that mean? Well, that means in general many things, but also means more money in the pockets for all of us. And for the people at home, of course, too, so we can travel around in New York and other places. So thank you very much, Matt Cuterre. Paul, do you feel better now?
Yeah, it means Pete and I don't have to go to China to work in the Nike shop like we were going to.
Yeah, I was working on my soldering for iPhones. I've been working on my...
Well, no need to, Paul, Pete, anymore. By the way, Pete, save that money for Jackson's college fund. We don't
trust me, I got enough expenses. I need all the money I can get with that one.
I'm sure you do. Guys, hope you wonderful, had a great, vacation for me. I'm off a few more days and then back to work. I know you guys have been working hard as usual. A lot of exciting races. A lot of our co-hosts have been dancing about the country in Florida and all over in Mexico and all over the place. While us old guys have been working hard. Although I will say Gulfstream was very special last week. And again, a special thanks to Brian Nadeau, the Clement team, Matt Bernier. I was taking care of like kings out there. Paul met Dave, communications manager out there at Gulfstream. It really is a special place, despite the fact the weather was sort of crappy for a few days for South Florida. It was mid-60s and a bit cloudy. I know, rough going.
Nobody's crying for you. Nobody's crying for you here.
No. You guys have some weather coming up in the East Coast, don't you?
Yes, we do. Sunday.
All right. First nor'easter of the year, looks like.
Yeah, we might be okay. Closer to the coast, the better, and I'm pretty close to the coast. So.
All right. Well, no one wants to hear us drab on about weather. Let's hear from some comments, guys, and then we'll get right into the horse racing. Stephen Vanderbrook is here. Good evening, gentlemen. Happy New Year. And, of course, smash that like button. Ralph Conti. Ralph Conti's here. How we doing, Ralph? Katie is here. Look who's here. I met the one and only Horsey Dave, guys, at Gulfstream Park. Fantastic guy. Hi, Howard. Great to meet you in Florida. Get to know you better. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate it. Horsey Dave is from Canada. We got a lot of Canadian viewers. We love our viewers from Canada. Horsey Dave, was a pleasure, man. Thank you very much. We got Terry Frank is here. Happy New Year. Jeff Amster is here. Happy New Year to all the HHH land. I do know who Leonard Jerome is now after I screwed up on X the stake race name this week. Jim Plars, there he is. He's going to be joining us next week. Very excited for the new show. Sounds like a terrific concept. No pressure, Jim, but if you do poorly, we might just scrap the show after day one. But no, just kidding, Jim. We won't. So appreciate it, Jim. We got Paul Conlin is here. We got a lot of people here. Oh, we got some. Who's this? Pepe Alonso. Nice to meet you and Charlie at Gulfstream Park. Yes, Pepe, that was you. And Pepe, I apologize because it was hard for me to hear what was going on. You were closer to Charlie. But guys, Pepe actually noticed Charlie first and gave Charlie props like, I love your show. And Charlie was like, he didn't even know what to do. He's like, someone recognized me? And like, he didn't even know what to do. It was great. Pepe, nice to meet you, man. Hope you had a good day there at Gulfstream. We have Mike Carmoli here. Heading down to Gulfstream a couple of weeks. Any restaurant? Ooh, I do have a restaurant.
Yeah, I have one too. I put in the chat.
Go ahead, Paul. What do you got? Oh,
Eddie V's in Lauderdale on Las Olas Boulevard. Phenomenal place.
Okay. I have an Italian restaurant, and the name is escaping me. That's really bothering me. But I actually went there. It's actually right off of it's right off the main, right off of Hallandale Road there. I'll see if I can remember it. But good Italian restaurants down there. Really, you can't go wrong. There are a lot of good places down there, Mike. So enjoy your time. And speaking of going down to Gulfstream, guys, last thing, Patrick Kunzel will be going down to Gulfstream next weekend with his girlfriend and meeting up some people. So Patrick, enjoy yourself down there at Gulfstream next week. So guys, we also had some birthdays over the break. Pete, happy birthday once again. We had we got another birthday coming up tomorrow, by the way, in our group. So I'll send that out to our text chat. And anyway, a lot of exciting stuff going on. Let's get into the pick five, guys. Before we do that, we're going to talk about the Jerome. The Jerome handicap. So let's do that. Let me bring up the picks right now here. Let me go bring up the banner. It's race 3. There it is. And you know what, guys? We start off 2024. Great minds think alike, right? There you go. We're starting off with the same picks. We're all going 1, 4, 5. Sorry about my screen there. It's going to go back. There we go. We're all going 1, 4, 5. It's a small field, Paul. And look, I'm going to stay positive in 2024. It's one of my New Year's resolutions. So always stay positive. And it's a small field, but it's a mighty field. So let's go ahead and bring up the Pete's like, nah, it's a crappy field.
Positive and delusional. I didn't know they were synonyms. So
well, listen, you gotta do what you can do. What you gotta do, right? Here you go. There we go. It's a field of 5. Morning favorite number 1. Drum roll, please. The rail horse at even money. Cox and Castellano. We're all going drum roll, please, guys. We're gonna go through this race very quickly. Paul, I'm gonna let you go first. Again, we're all going 1, 4, 5. What does you like about drum roll, please, Paul?
Oh, it's fairly obvious, isn't it? Dornock is a top horse. Won the Remsen, and the horse that's going to win the Kentucky Derby ran second. So this guy ran third behind those two. Why complicate things?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to save ground. I think there is some speed on the outside. He's been, working forwardly or steadily, I should say. Nothing really special here. We've got the 4 in second, Pete, and that's El Grande O for Linda and Carmouche. This is a New York bred who you figure will have the lead. I guess 2 obvious questions: class and distance.
Yeah, exactly. And you figure it's not a bad thing. I mean, the horse is 9 to 5, so we're not breaking any ground, but it's not a bad thing in a short field to just jump on the lead and see what happens. Take the race as far as you can. Yeah, I don't know if the horse class is up. I guess even today, I mean, it's not like, it's not like drum roll please is the new coming of Secretariat. So, but I do think this horse can take them the route if all goes well in the race. So, speed kills sometimes. Why not?
Sure. Are you a little growly there, Pete? Are you under the weather?
Yeah.
Everyone is sick. It's crazy.
No, it's like, we've had the weird weather of some days nice, some days not, and you get stuck outside a little too long, and it just gets to the throat a little bit.
All right. Well, I hope you feel better. And then we got Regalo. I was tempted to put him higher, and then I'm like, you know what? He's gotten perfect trips at Laurel, and this is just a much tougher field. So we're going to find out how good Regalo is, Paul, for sure, on Saturday.
I got to tell you, Brittany Russell has got some well-meant looking horses on Saturday, and she, of course, we mentioned last week, she did accomplish it. Congrats to her. The first woman in the calendar year, she was the leading trainer in Maryland. So Brittany is a great trainer, great person. So congrats to her. And yeah, she's it looks like she's shipping with a purpose this Saturday. So there's another horse she has later on that I almost picked on top. I think I picked second in the sequence we'll get to. But yeah, but I think I agree with you guys on the 4. I think I was clearly second on the 4 because the 4 has run well at least once outside the New York bred company. But any horse that can be within a shadow of Sierra Leone is clearly going to be the horse to beat here.
Pete, for people who are going to play the early pick 5 on Saturday, would this be a stone cold single for you, or would you back up defensively for horizontal players out there?
I mean, it's tough. I assume single isn't a bad move here. I didn't look at the rest of the sequence to know what else is going on, but
Yeah.
I think if you want to, this is a solid single. It doesn't make much sense if you like the 4 to really play the 1 and the 4, but it depends on how much you have in the rest of the sequence. It's hard to know. But yeah, I mean, in a 5-horse field, the class of the field, why not?
And Paul, again, this is why I personally would like to play AB. That's why I play ABC. To me, it's a stone cold A, and if I were to use C's, it'd be 4 or 5 C and just move on. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that or not, Paul.
I do. I think both, and I haven't looked at the opening sequence as closely as the last sequence, but I think it looks on paper, based on field size and odds, that this is the week you're going to have to press up a few times to reap the benefits of your outstanding opinions.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. And you, by the way, Paul is an Eclipse voter. I mentioned that. Paul, we're not going to show your voting now. We're going to do that on an upcoming show right before the Eclipse Awards. But just out of fairness to everyone, why don't you tell everyone at least your horse of the year, who you voted for 1, 2, 3 for horse of the year on your official Eclipse ballot?
I voted for Cody's Wish first, White Abario second, and Idiomatic third.
I've seen some like Idiomatic love out there on X and other places.
I
personally don't really get it. I don't understand how people can have Idiomatic and ahead of Pete, one of your favorites, Up to the Mark. I mean, to me, Up to the Mark is like a clear second in this category. Again, that's why I'm not a voter, Paul, because maybe I don't know what that.
No, I've seen ballots. People have them first. And that's a valid point. I wouldn't have them first, but I do see. Yes, I do see the value because, I mean, he ran great all year. Came back and he lost to an Aidan O'Brien monster in the Breeders' Cup and ran well. I think the thing with Idiomatic is, if you're going to vote for a female in any category that includes males, she will have to run against and beaten them. And Idiomatic, as great as her year was, did not run out of the female ranks once. She did have a very, was it 8 for 9, I believe. She had a very, very good year and beat everything in front of her. But I think for a female, you gotta beat the boys.
Yeah. Well, Pepper's Pride beat everyone in front of him, the New Mexico bred, for 2 years, but I don't think we're going to name him horse of the year. So
I think someone did vote for him. I think someone did vote for him, by the way.
My point is hopefully taken anyway. All right, guys, let's go to the beginning of the late pick 5. Late pick 5, you see right now on the bottom of the screen is our picks for race 5. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the entries for race 5. And let me just do this real quick. Guys, this is not like the strongest late pick 5 we've ever covered, obviously. But I did want to give the Ben Boozin guys an opportunity to cover Gulfstream. They had 3 stakes. So if you're looking for like a really, really good stakes-laden quality card, of course, the weather it looks a little shaky Saturday, which is a real bummer. But they could run the wonderful Tapeta that Paul loves so much. Go to episode 55 of Ben and Boozin. They just had a show last night with a really good late pick 5 sequence with huge fields and a lot of stake races. This pick 5, and I talked about it as I just wrote the tip sheet today, is not the deepest, but you know what? There's a lot of horses. There's a lot of races you really can't single, and then you have to sort of spread, and there's a lot of tricky races here. So although it's not the highest quality of late pick 5s we've covered, I think it's still really interesting anyway. So it starts with a maiden 40, 6 furlongs. Of course, all these are dirt races. This is a field of 7 New York breds with, you can see it's pretty wide open on the morning line. Morning line favorite is the number 6, Retail Man, for Jimmy Ryerson, who's also got the 7 first time started to compute it. He's got Franco on the 6. Pete, let's go to you first. You're going with the rail horse, Braca, for Gilgio and Davis.
Yeah, I thought this was a tough field. I agree with you. I didn't really have a single throughout this. I thought all the races were sort of even, especially at the top. I just like this one. I like the improvement from the initial start in the debut. Just really broke poorly, was way too far back, did run on late, but I mean, lost by 15. But this was one where sort of the leaders just got away. But I liked that there was no give up in this horse, and then came back in the second race and just ran a lot better, was closer to the pace, which I think from the rail could maybe do that again. Picked up Dylan Davis, got the lead, so ran sort of a winning race, and then got caught going 6.5. Now we're cutting back to the 6. I just and has I think the best dirt buyer in the field. So just based on a little bit of potential improvement from race 1 to 2 to 3, and at a little bit of a price, and I don't think the favorites are super strong. I kind of like this one.
Got a little Artie Schiller on the damn side. Maybe this horse will get to the turf once the weather
Yeah.
turns. Are you familiar with this trainer, Paul? I have to apologize to the connections. I do not know this trainer.
I am not. Gina Giglio, I am not, Howard. She only looks like she's only started 13.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she's first year. I will take a look at that right now,
Okay.
but I am not familiar with her.
Sounds
All right.
Italian, so must be awesome.
Well, that we know that.
Fazio,
why you picked the
Fazio
horse.
Stables. I mean,
Yeah, that's a given. Yeah.
what is Braca an Italian word, Pete? Do you know?
I don't know, actually. I should have looked that
Someone
up.
in the chat. Come on, we got Ralph Conti. Where are you? What is Braca?
Gina,
Italian? We'll
Gina has started 73 horses in her career.
Okay.
Kind of odd. Dates back to 2013, actually, but
really,
she's not every year. So yes,
all right.
She's a
Horsey Dave said the weather's going to be iffy in New York, but it won't come until later in the day or Sunday. Paul, is that your understanding for this card?
Yeah, I know. They used it did get it before us. We're going to get hit starting Saturday night, so I assume it's going to hit New York sometime Saturday afternoon.
Okay. And by the way, another new, we love our new people in the chat. Again, we'd love to expand our coverage, of course, in 2024. Bob, thanks for joining the show. Said White Barrio beat nothing in the class. I don't know about nothing, but I think your point is well taken.
It was
off the board.
Pretty mild.
In the Met. I mean, isn't that the big, again, this is a whole conversation, Paul, but since I'm bringing it up, I mean, to me, the Met was probably the best run dirt race of the year in terms of the effort, and he beats White Barrio. So anyone who wants to put White Barrio over Cody's Wish, frankly, I wouldn't understand that, but I respect it.
They'll use the Whitney argument, which is fair, but so at best now you have a push and you move on to other stats such as one more grade 1 win and one more race, et cetera, et cetera. There you go, Mike Carmoli.
Thanks, Mike. Trousers or pants? Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Wow.
Let's go to the 4. Rob the bank.
Yes.
Rob the bank. Paul, you and I love to rob the bank. Why not?
Yeah.
Talk about a full makeover for this horse. Wow. I mean, the goods. Lasix first time gelding, which was reported about a month ago. It doesn't mean that gelding happened a month ago, by the way, but that's when it's reported. Blinkers on, but there is one huge factor for me as to why I like this horse. Paul, I want to hear from you first. 7-2 for Bruce Brown and Carmouche.
Well, I like him because I do, I probably pay more attention to the Jockey Olympics than I should, but I do think it's noteworthy that Caramouche, who has ridden the 6 in all 3 of his career starts, including a pretty good second and a decent 4th, lands on this horse whom he's never ridden. And, he certainly rides for Ryerson as much as he rides for Bruce Brown. So I thought that was noteworthy. And to your point, my friend Jim Mazer would call them karma moves. And he's got 3 looking right at you: gelding, Lasix, and blinkers on.
And to me, the drop down, just for me,
the biggest drop.
Yeah, biggest drop in horse racing, even in state breds. I will take a main special weight that looks bad over any horse that's been running in that condition, even more than, even if it's just once, almost every single time, unless I just think the 4 can't run at all. And I don't know what happened last time. The 4 did come back. Actually, he's been really running very quickly back. I mean, he's been running like 3 weeks and 2 weeks and like 2 weeks. Pete's like a harness horse, but now he's off for quite a while, which I personally like. Obviously, something happened. I don't know. I'm assuming the horse is going to fire. It's a bit of a guess. We'll see.
Had
Let's
that had that nice work right off the sometime after the
yeah,
gelding, the one
weird
on
though,
December
right?
8th,
Like best of 77, and then has worked like
and then
slower than
worked,
you and me
then
would
then
run.
slowed it
So
down. Yeah,
those are
real
just
funny.
maintenance works, though. I guess I don't know. These are
Bruce
no
Brown,
killers.
by the way, 0 for not that it means much. 0 for 35 first time blinkers. Bruce Brown for you.
Well,
I
that's
don't
a
know what that means. There was a bunch of seconds in there though, so the horses do improve. There's some seconds, so
I mean, it's obviously a concern for Paul and I top pick, but I don't know. We'll see what happens, but could be over 36 or it could be 1 for
yeah.
36. We'll see, guys. Let's go on to the next race 6. There's our picks on the bottom of the screens. Pete and I are the same this time for race 6, which is, let me bring it on the screen right here. Here we go. Main special weight. This is also for New York breds. They're going 6.5 furlongs to the field of 7. Again, like I said, these fields are not big, but they are, competitive. The favorites are number 1, Friday, I'm in Love. Great song, by the way. The Cure, if you know that song. Englehart, Lascano, Pete and I are going with the 5. Flip's Dream, 9-2, Bruce Levine and Carmouche. Pete, what do you like about Flip's Dream? My choice also in this race.
Yeah, I thought this was the toughest race. This is where when I go through, I flag the most, top contenders, sort of A level horses for me, and none of them were outstanding. But this one, I'm going with the idea that the first race sometimes isn't the best, and you can improve so much greatly on second time out. Especially this one, he was pinched at the start. He dropped back to last. Never really got into it. He sort of ran on a little bit late, but he was also 5-2, so took money. So that that's something. Took money on debut, and then just you're out of the gate in debut. If you break badly, you're almost just screwed. So what are you going to do from there? So the
Let's
hope
take a
is
look
that,
at that, Pete. Let's
yeah,
take a look
yeah,
at
feel
that. I'm
free.
going to show the head on, Pete.
Yeah, the head on is better. Yeah, you
He's
get the better
the
view.
7, I remember. Yeah, he's the 7, everyone. So I'm going to full screen. I'm just talking about, we're just going to show a little bit. Watch the 7, Pete, and you can talk about what happens. Let me go full screen here.
Yeah,
All right, here
if
it comes.
anyone's watching,
It's
it's
going to come
very
pretty quick.
obvious. Yep, you see right there, the 6 and the 8 just sort of collide, and they pinch the 7 back, and drops to dead last right out of the gate, and then doesn't really make up any much ground after that. But again, doesn't quit. But then sort of ran on a bit. I like there's some works since that, or there's been 2 works since that. The 1-2 back, 48, 4 furlongs in 48, third out of 207. So it was a big day. And you don't see that many on a day that often.
A lot of
So
works.
and yeah, it's a lot of works, and hopefully the horse just, again, when you get a pinch like that, when you get the bad break and when it's your debut, sometimes you're just stuck. And Carmouche probably just said, you know what, we'll live to fight another day. What the hell, let's do it. I did have a cool stat. Bruce Levine, 31% wins, 54% in the money in dirt sprints at Aqueduct in the past couple months. So this has sort of been his game lately. Yeah. Although he is 2 for 46 with second time starters at Aqueduct. So you can pick which one you like better or don't like. But in a wide open field, I'm going to take a shot with a horse that took money in debut, and maybe we get a little price with this time.
Pete, that 2 for 46 was last 5 years, right?
Yeah. It was last 5 years.
For me, just to let people, I'll give my quick opinion out there, is I'm much more interested in what's happened in the last 6 months or recently around the last 5 years, because I don't know, maybe obviously his barn's going really well, so maybe he's doing something different. But you look, both stats they're yin yang, right? You can go.
I just like to give them out so people know them in case they don't have access to it. But I would never rely on any to say definitively one way or the other. That's the pick. It's just we always say it's a data point.
Guys, this is one of my favorite angles in horse racing, is the second time starter that was well meant first out, that didn't run well the first time, and you might get a price the second time. And not only that, Pete, as you astutely mentioned, not only did this horse work great after the start. But this horse was working really well before, which is obviously why he was taking money, and he's out of a Disco Rico mare, and Disco Rico is a very talented New York bred. So, Paul, I'm a little surprised you don't have the 5 anywhere, but I get it because Flipstream really didn't do a lot of running after he got bumped. But in this field and based on his breeding and his works, I just think if he breaks, he could be very tough in this spot. But Paul, you're going to go with the 7 here, Flying in Style, who also puts blinks on for Charlton Baker.
Yeah, I just have and I don't think Timeform agrees with me. I remember looking at the pace projector. I think this 7's gone in this race. I think he's got a clear advantage speed wise, and I think he's gate to wire. I could be wrong. Obviously, I'm wrong with great frequently.
There's the pace Paul on screen, on the pace projectors on screen on the right side there.
Yeah, and again, they do it for a living, and I do it in a couple of hours a week with you. But I think that the 7 is gone as far as getting to the lead in this race.
Okay.
And to the point of the 5, it's never bad having a Bellamy Road at Aqueduct, one of the most dominating wood memorials, albeit in the slop, was Bellamy Road at Aqueduct. Yep. But that was what I based it on. Okay. And the horse has gone to the lead and not won. I get it. So how the track is playing is also going to be a factor. But I also think the blinkers are a little bit of a tell here as far as what the intent is. And I just think Dylan Davis is going to send and see if they can catch him. And I'm hoping they don't.
Yeah, and the 3 was actually I thought Messi the Magician again. Who knows, Paul, but this horse was from the 13 hole, and we really had to be hustled out. So maybe he won't be hustled out as much from the 3 hole, right, Paul? Because he doesn't need to. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? But it's something to consider, right, Pete? So you and I have the same top 3, Pete, I noticed. And we both also like a little bit of Friday, I'm in Love. You guys know that? You guys know that song, don't you?
We're going to have to go to a different race if you're going to keep singing the name.
They're like, I thought I knew the song, and once Howard was singing it, now I have no idea what it is. The Cure. It's a great song. Anyway, the 1 ran well in the same race, Pete, and did beat the 5. The problem is I thought the 1 got an absolute dream trip, but did run well.
No, I agree. That was my that was this. That's why I had the horse in 3rd. Again, ran okay, but just sort of ran relatively evenly. Didn't do much one way or the other, but was improved. I mean, there was improvement after the move to Jeremiah Engelhardt. So at least you see some reason why there was some improvement. I just would have liked a little bit more of something in that race. It was just sort of flat for me. So that's why I couldn't. Yeah, I saw Singh in the chat with the 3.
Does Singh have a connection to Messi the Magician, or does he know Messi? I don't know. That Singh maybe Singh's being very hush hush about that. Interesting.
Quick stat for you, Pete, on the 1 Jeremiah. 2nd off 120 to 180 day layoff, 20% wins.
Nice.
So, what a really good guy too. He's one of the best guys. Easy to root for guy.
Again, this is one of those. I think was it Pete who said that you thought this the toughest race, the sequence. There's just a lot of races that have, again, not giant fields, but a lot of middling prices, and you can get paid. But I also would recommend to people out there, if there's a lot of 3-to-1 to 5-to-1 horses, or 2-to-1 to 5-to-1, you can't just use all of them, right? I mean, you gotta take a stand. You gotta pick and choose which ones you want to use. Let's go on to the next race, which is race 7. This is a nice high class field right here. Race 7. There's the banners on the bottom of the screen. We're going 3 different ways in this race. Yet again, though, Pete, you and I are going with the same 3, but in different order. So it's the year of Pete and Howard with the same great opinions, and that schmuck on the bottom of the screen, who knows what the hell he's going to be doing. But anyway, we'll see. There he is.
I don't remember how that worked. When was that? Like 2 weeks ago, where we had basically every horse. Yeah. I can't remember how that worked for us or not. Maybe.
I actually think it worked okay.
It worked pretty well, didn't it? I think it was okay. Yeah.
I think it was okay. Race 7, optional allowance, 62.5 claimers, nice field of 7. Pretty big money line favorite here. They're going 7 furlongs, by the way. Is the number 7, High Oak, Mott, and K. Davis. And K. Davis, I talked to this, by the way, Pete and Paul, with Matt Cutera, because Katie Davis does ride a decent amount for Adelphi. She had a bit of a breakthrough year. Paul had a graded stakes placing and really is coming on. I don't know, what kind of year she's going to have in 2024, but I think she's been a nice story that's been a bit overlooked, I think, nationally. But anyway, Paul, you're going with the 6 in this race. Joey Freshwater, 5-1 for Linda, who's hoping to have another spectacular year. And boy, Carmouche again looks like might have a big day if our picks are correct on Saturday. What do you like about Joey Freshwater, Paul?
Well, I mean, High Oak is a very interesting horse, Howard. High Oak, they had high hopes. If you can see, even on the abbreviated PPs, winning the Saratoga Special, a Grade 2 as a 3-year-old, and then running decent in the Hopeful, and then having a bad fall at Gulfstream in the Fountain of Youth. Actually, that was as a 3-year-old. Those other 2 races I mentioned were 2-year-olds. And really, the horse did not recover well from that. And Katie was kind of a calming influence on this horse. And Lee Einseidler, the owner, talked to Bill Mott, his trainer, about putting her on. And she really hit it off with the horse. The horse ran well a few times. All graded stakes company. I just think this is the type of horse in this race you're supposed to try to beat. 7-5 might be lower than that. And I really don't think the race flow is favorable. Now, she may very well try to have them closer early, but I was looking, and I love the horse. I love Katie. I love Lee Einseidler. I love Bill Mott. I love all of them. But I think this is the type of horse you're supposed to try to beat. And I went and landed on the 6, Joey Freshwater, a good price. Caramouche will be aggressive. School's out on the 5, Howard. Time Farm has the horse going to the clear lead.
Yep, let's look at that. I should really do that first. That's sorry.
If I'm going to get beat by a horse coming from Century Mile and then Asanobia Downs, I'm okay with that. I'm going to take my chances, even if that horse does go to the lead. If that horse wants to wire me, I'll consider myself wired. I don't want any part of that horse.
You don't like Jeff, Jeff Fafa?
No, I'm not. No, and Rob Atras is great. No issues. I just, I don't see it. So anyway, I am looking for someone forward though, and I think there's a chance High Oak is left with too much to do, and that was why I tried to beat him at the price he's going to be.
You got some layoff stats for us, Pete? I thought you might throw that out there with this horse for Linda.
I didn't. You know what? I should have. I didn't put any up because I didn't love Joey. Joey Freshwater was just it was a tough one because I just thought those last 2, even though we're decent company, I just thought those last 2 were so disappointing. Got the time off, so hopefully came back fresh and has been working pretty well since coming back. Yeah. It was just that scared me off a little bit. Was those last 2 were just sort of clunkers.
They might be sitting right off the 5. I agree with you. I didn't know what to do with this horse. But I understand the pick, Paul, and I think it's very interesting because Joey Freshwater does have some back class for sure. Pete, let's go to your top choice here. You're going to go with the 3, Set Sail. I looked at this horse real carefully, and I almost put him on top. I decided not to because I'm not sure he classes up. But you know how much I love turnbacks. I'm personally tossing out the mud effort. The two or 3 back before that seem very logical to me, and he will be more forward, although not on the lead. So there's a lot of things I personally like about Set Sail. I just don't have him on top. You do.
Yeah, you pretty much said everything. So I'm in a total agreement with you. I thought, for one thing, with this horse, so if you look back and ran in June of 22 and then was off for almost a year and then came back and was just running really well. So the 3 races in 2023 prior to the last one were just, really some steady improvement, which you like to see, sort of getting back to the form from 2022. And I just liked the improvement there. And it was at decent company. Then, like you said, had a little bit of a layoff, came back, was in the mud, 2 races, if you look back in May of 2022, the 2 races on off tracks were just god awful. Now, one was in the Peter Pan, so probably shouldn't have been in that race, but was actually favored in that race and lost by 20.
It's crazy.
So, so
hey,
maybe
remember this horse? That was my top
remember
choice
that one?
that day. I love We the People.
That
I
was
think he's retired.
you did. You
Anyway.
and that was got to play going into the Belmont, right? After that?
Yes.
Off of this race? Yeah. But this one, I just felt like maybe he was on the improve, and then that last race just wasn't indicative because maybe he just hates the off track. And if he does, and he's talented enough, I had the same thought that Paul had with Joey Freshwater was I thought this one could sit right off the 5. I think the 5 is cheap speed. The 3 pounces, and then High Oak has a little bit too much to do and doesn't like to win that much sometimes.
No.
So I really like this horse. I was hoping for a little bit better price, but I really like this horse.
By the way, Tom Espinoza, guys, has a great idea for our Monday show, Horse and Around.
He doesn't.
You want to see it?
No, he doesn't.
Karaoke. I love it. Why not? Now,
Don't
Paul,
do that, Tom.
Paul disagrees.
Tom, don't do that.
Paul, people be smashing the speakers, huh? Okay. Don't tempt me, Tom. You know I'll do it. I'll do it, Tom. Well, Paul, you're the first co-host, so you might have to get your singing voice ready for Monday. We'll have to see about that.
I'll tell you what I can do. Oh, Canada, every word for our Canadian viewers.
There you go. I'm sure Horsey Dave and many others would appreciate that. Guys, I am not going very creative here, and I'm not very proud of this pick, to be honest, but I think there is enough pace to set it up for High Oak. I would never bet this horse on the win end ever at that price. This would use more of an A kind of horizontal play. But I mean, look who he's faced. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the horses he's faced in this race recently are just completely ridiculous. Let me just show everyone. Durante is actually a nice horse. Some horse named Cody's Wish is in there. Gunite, Scotchatori, who ran big that
Elite
day.
Power.
I mean, Elite Power. I mean, White Bar. I mean, come on. I mean,
Creative
Gold. I don't know if High Oak is going to win on Saturday. None of us does until Saturday occurs. But guys, if High Oak gets any kind of decent trip, I think Katie will have this horse sit off a few lengths and just should go by in the stretch. The interesting thing, guys, is High Oak has not been involved in fast-paced races, and this might be fast. And I guess there's an argument whether that you'd think that would work well, but sometimes maybe not, because sometimes he might get run off his feet and could be too far back. I don't know. He just seems obvious. It's not my most creative pick. I think he is beatable. I'm using, looking at my ABCs here, I'm actually using 2 or 3 horses as Bs, including both of your horses, because I'm not fully convinced. But High Oak is a lone A for me. Final thoughts, guys, on this race?
I think you sort of have to do that if you like the 7. You can't really do the 3 and the 7 or 2 of the others in a lone A. You kind of go lone A, and then if you like a long shot, you sprinkle it in.
And also for people that play ABC, and we're always looking to give advice on horizontals, do not use High Oak as a B. It is always a very bad investment, bad idea, bad for your ROI, blah, 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 to use a short price horse as a B as in boy, like sort of I'm not sure. Either you love the horse, put him he or she as an A, or you're trying to beat the horse and use as an extreme backup, or not at all. A low price B is a very, very bad idea from a money management perspective. I just wanted to throw that out there to everyone who plays horizontals. And very selfishly, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I'm a bit on a heater right now, guys. I've not been throwing stuff out on X, but if you talk to some of the B&B guys, they know. So I'm hopefully to continue that trend going into 2024 on Saturday. Let's go to race 8, guys. Race 8, there's our picks on the bottom of the screen. We're all using 4, 5, and 6 in different order. Interesting. We're all going different orders, but Pete and Paul are both going with the 5 on top in race 8. Here it comes. It's the ladies' stakes. Guess what? It's for the girls. 1 1/8 miles, $150,000 for the older girls. Again, 4-year-olds and up. Some of these horses just turned 4. And by the way, full screen for everyone. Happy birthday to all of our 4-legged friends out there, because they all had a birthday on January 1st. So happy birthday to them. But anyway, There it is. Morning line favorite is the number 6. Saddle Up Jesse for Brittany Russell and Sheldon Russell. 2-1. We love the Russell so much, none of us have the favorite on top. So let's go to you, Pete. You agree with Paul. You're going to go with Comparative. Interesting horse for Cox and Franco that I have in second, a newly turned 4-year-old. What do you like about Comparative, Pete?
Yeah, and by the way, my wife will be mad. My wife's name is Jessie, so I didn't put the 6 on top.
Wow.
But my
That's
my
right.
pop will be playing in her honor. My father, he always
Okay.
plays the Jessie horses, so I just wanted to mention that since she will probably win since I don't have her on top. But with Comparative, yeah, I think Comparative was just rounding another one who was just sort of rounding into form in February and April. You see those 2 nice wins after she breaks the maiden. She had sort of a tough start to her career, but then she breaks the maiden, then goes into the optional claimer, runs really nicely. Then they say, what the hell? Let's try the Black Eyed Susan. Didn't have the easiest of Trift. It was obviously a tougher field, and then was just off for a while. And I like that she came back again. I don't know if it was the greatest field in the world, but she came back, really nice win, had a lifetime buyer top. It was at Aqueduct, which you got to like to see too. So I like to see when the horse runs well at the track we're at. Had a really nice work, had a pretty nice work last out, first out of 101 and 2, first out of 30 on the day. I think this one just might be talented, and it just took a little longer to get going a little bit. And now I think if this one can take a little bit of a step forward, I think maybe she's just a pretty talented horse. I mean, it's Godolphin and Cox. You pick up Manny, who I think will try and keep this horse close, and I think can sit just off the speed. And there is some speed in this race. I think should work out a beautiful trip, and I think she's primed in this race. And again, I don't think the favorite is so strong. I think this one has a little bit more upside.
Your thought, Pete, on the pace projector on the right side of the screen, that they have the 1 just barely on the lead, and the 4 and your 5, and Paul's 5 really just sitting right off, or potentially could have the lead. It really would not be out of the question if they want to be aggressive with this filly.
Yeah, you like the fact that when you're outside the potential speed that you can make that decision. So Manny can sort of make the decision, see what the 1 and 4 do, and then if they go a little too fast, he can lay off. And this horse has shown that she can pass horses, so can definitely lay off. And all 3 of her wins have been sitting just off, and that would be a perfect trip in this field.
This is a Godolphin homebred, Paul, and Godolphin, we're going to hear that name at the Eclipse Awards, I'm sure, at the end of January, because what a 2023 they had. And Pete might be right here. I think this horse is on the come and is improving, and they rested her for a while, and she, if last race was any indication, she might be a completely different horse, and maybe a nice stake horse in 2024. We'll see. I think Saturday is a big race for this horse to see what happens going forward, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I'm looking at the PPs, and I'm hoping I wasn't playing on November 25th, because how the hell was this horse 6.5 to 1? I mean, you just draw a line through the Black Eye. They took a swing for the fences. That's all that was, coming off 2 real good wins. But you draw a line through that, and the horse has won 3 in a row, and she's 6 to 1 in an optional claim of 62. Oh boy, I hope I was like in the Afghanistan that day or something and not playing.
Well, we don't want you there.
Yeah,
you could have picked about 1,000 places other there.
We talked about Brittany Russell earlier, and this horse looks really formidable. I'm not so sure I want her as the favorite, though. If the odds are what they are, I certainly like Comparative. Comparatively speaking, I like Comparative at 7 to 2 a lot more than Saddle Up Jesse at 2 to 1. And Pete, it's okay if you're going to get beat by a horse named after your wife. You want it to be 2 to 1, not 20 to 1. Who cares?
That's very true. Very true. I agree with that.
Well, a lot of Canadian, a big fan of the La Béton, huh, Paul? Is that right?
Oh, the best. And then Roger Doucette. If we should start the Monday show with Roger Doucette singing "Oh Canada." Howard.
Okay, there might be some issues with copyright laws there, but
he's dead. He's not complaining.
By the way, Jim Plugs put in the chat that he loves Billy Joel, and guess who also loves Billy Joel?
Oh,
So
God.
I don't know.
Oh, boy.
Monday could be
Paul,
awfully interesting, Paul. You might have to get your earmuffs ready to go
Paul,
for,
I think
our
Paul, you're
first
looking
show.
a little sick from the snow, Paul. You look like you're gonna have to skip that one.
Hey, Pete, it looks like I'm going to be watching the NCAA pregame show.
Yeah, you're gonna be watching that early.
No, you're not supposed to bring that up. We want to have 5,000 people watching our show. Come on.
If you and Jim sing, we ain't going to have. Oh, I don't know about
All
Jim.
right. Well,
I don't want to speak for Jim.
yeah, Jim might be a hell of a singer. I don't know. We'll
He
keep
could
it off
be.
here.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Um,
think comparative is the right horse here. I mean, as I say, I think the 6 could be real good, but
okay.
yeah.
I did not watch
But
the replays of Saddle Up
You
Jesse.
picked
I
the
gotta be
4,
honest,
Howard.
guys.
Tell us
I'm
about
sorry.
the 4, Howard. Tell us about the 4.
I will in a moment. I don't know about Saddle Up Jesse. I didn't watch the replays. I have to be honest to our viewers and listeners. But on paper, it looks like she just sat perfect trips and just went by horses that are just meh. So I don't know. I think this is a good spot for Saddle Up Jesse. I just think she's a bit vulnerable as the favorite here. The number 4, my top choice. She's Mo Bubbly. It's a bit of a guess. I will admit that. Therefore, I wouldn't take a low price on this horse. This is not a turf horse, is she? I mean, I know she's run on turf before. She's done both. It just seems like she's better on dirt. And if you go back to Saratoga, guys, Todd tried to get her on turf twice, and she ran very well in those races. Now, again, those races were main special weights against horses that probably wanted turf, unless there were a lot of AEs. I'd have to go back and look at the horses particular. But it's the last race that I like a lot, guys. I mean, what's wrong with the last race? I realized the pace was a little bit slow. She got a 109 time form, which I'm pretty sure is highest in the field. She's got tactical speed. It's Pletcher and Carmouche. This horse costs $825,000 for the lows, guys. So this horse was very well meant all along. 5-2 is a little bit low for me, but I don't know. I think it's a very likable horse. Any quick thoughts, and we'll move on about the 4?
Yeah, I really like this one
Yeah,
too.
I had it as a B.
Go
I
ahead.
had it as a B. Yeah, I had it as a B. But to your point, 5-2 Bs is not, probably not where you want to be. But I thought the horse is right in the mix. Sure.
Pete, you want to throw a final thought in there?
No, I just think you get a horse who debuted at 4 and improved, and they still they're bouncing between the turf, they're bouncing between distances, they're bouncing between turf and dirt.
Yeah.
And maybe this horse is just going to get a little bit better. So I had the horse in second, but I think this one could be one that is maybe just finding her footing. And let's leave her on the dirt. She seems to be pretty strong on the dirt. Let's leave her on it and see where we can get her to.
Again, it's one of those small fields, but you don't want to go 4 deep in a 6-horse field. I mean, sure, you get through the race. Who cares about that? You're spending X amount of money to get paid X amount of money, right? So, I mean, I realize that the ROI police and everyone are out there and say, how you shouldn't worry about that. But it's money. This whole game, ladies and gentlemen, is about money management. I mean, yes, you want to find winners, obviously, but I mean, there's no reason to spend $240 on a pick 5 you think might only pay $400. I mean, it just makes no sense whatsoever. So
Yep.
You got to pick and choose. In fact, guys, this might be one of the pick 5s where I'm going to press up. Where I'm just going to go for my opinions and try to hit it more than once, because I feel like that's the main way to get paid. Now, the last race. Oof. This is a big field, and to me, this is the spread. And of all the races where you might see a double-digit price, it might be here, but we'll see. I don't know. And there's one thing about the last race, guys, that I think is extremely important to bring up, and I'll bring it up right away from the start. But let's look at the field here for the last race before I bring up our picks. The last race on Saturday at Aqueduct is a 12-5 straight claimer. It's for 4-year-olds and up. They're going 6 furlongs. It's a field of 8 with the morning line favorite, the number 4, Airport. Love the name. Airport for Rudy, who's also has Mr. Phil in here. Actually, Mr. Phil is the favorite. Sorry, guys. Mr. Phil is the favorite at 2-1. The second choice is also Rudy, Airport. Now, before I bring up our picks, guys, here's the question. I have no inside intel. I would be shocked if both these horses run, because they both are speed horses and they're both Rudy. Any quick thoughts? Did you guys think about that when you were looking at the PPs? Any thoughts on that? I believe the ownership is different, though.
I didn't, but Rudy's not afraid to run him, Howard. I think
Okay.
that's a fair point, but I wouldn't be shocked. I might be mildly surprised.
Okay. Well, then the
Rudy's
next
not
question
afraid to
is,
run this.
sorry, Paul, I stepped on you toes
No,
there.
no, go ahead. No, that was it.
Well, the next question is, they're both major speed. So they're not going to battle, right? I mean, I have a hard time believing they're going to battle, and they both look very quick early. So let me go back to, again, here's the field, and let me bring up our top choices. I'm going to go with the two Rudies, but I'm going to explain why I'm doing that. The 7, I don't have anywhere at all. And Pete and Paul, look at that, guys. You're both going 7-1-6.
Wow,
Now we're thinking,
in
Paul.
this race,
Now we're thinking.
which
that's
is really
unbelievable.
quite a thing that you're both going the same 3 in this somewhat sort of difficult 8-horse field. So obviously we need to talk to you guys first, which we usually do anyway. Paul, I'm going to go to you first. You're going to go with striking speed for Potts and Dylan Davis, 9-2 morning line. What do you like about striking speed to end the card on Saturday?
Oh, well, I don't like the race. I can tell you that much. So let me start with that. Yeah, Tom Espinoza, I agree. Potts is good off a win. He's 17% off wins the last 5 years. This horse won last time. They're moving him up, but just mildly. Dylan finished the year pretty well. This horse that's his best speed figure in quite a while.
Yeah.
Last time out. Do I want to have a 2-1 shot in this race? No. The owners, Nikki Primpus is from Lynn, where I live, and Frank Catapanos from Marblehead, 2 towns over. I saw Nikki Primpus at Gulfstream last year. That's relevant to nothing, but I figured I'd bring it up. So yeah, Pete, we could pick this race a million times and not have the same exact 3. That's unbelievable. We got to play that. We got to play that try many times just in case.
Yeah, it's
Pete,
this was a
before you
tough
talk
race.
about the 7, here's the pace projector, Pete, which says it favors front runners with the 2 Rudies 1-2. That's interesting. Also, I'll go full screen. And it's got striking speed and very good spot there on the outside stalking.
Yeah, yep. And I think that's where I think Paul and I are probably on the same page with that, where I thought if the 2 Rudies stay in, and again, you're right, they probably won't hook up, but they could just be up front enough to where the pace is a little bit decent. And I think striking speed can sit close enough. And you see 2 backs sat off a pretty hot pace. And even in the last one, it was a slower pace, but sat up close. I think this horse can sit right behind sort of where the pace projector has him. And I think he could just get the best trip. And if he does, and the 2 speed horses falter, or they do go maybe a little faster than they intended, then I think this one would be in a perfect position. And I also do like, since Potts picked this horse up, again, there's been steady improvement back. Like the horse wasn't doing so great under Baker, and then now is sort of maybe working his way back. Doesn't like to win. He's 5 for 42 lifetime, so doesn't hit the winner's circle all that often. But again, it's not like this is the Breeders' Cup Classic here. So
everyone in the chat's got everyone's got the 7 except me. I don't, in the chat, you both have the 7. Maybe we'll see. I could be very wrong. Here's my thought on the 7. Wayne Potts sometimes, how do I put this judiciously? Let's see. Wayne Potts wins sometimes at a higher rate than you would expect. This just doesn't, these claimers, I've said it before, and I've fallen on my sword. I'm wrong all the time, guys, but I am right in certain situations. These horses just don't win back-to-back races. And that is the angle I'm going with. And you can call it stinking thinking. You can call it anything you want. The horse makes a lot of sense. I totally get it. I think it's a tougher field. And I just don't know if this horse can come back as a 7-year-old much quicker, by the way, fair to mention, much quicker than he did the last time, where he had a month off, although he came back 8 days later from Delaware and almost won. So I don't know. But anyway, these horses just don't win back-to-back races. And I'm going sort of very mathy with my thinking in this situation. If the 4 and 6 are both in, guys, to me, one of them's going to win. And I know they're the favorites. And again, you guys know I love to be creative and go with long shots sometimes, and when they make sense. But a lot of the bigger prices in these races just don't make sense to me. And I'm not going to start throwing out, cute horses or 10-1s to the public when I don't think they're going to win. Airport, guys, is fast early. I mean, fast. And I know last time just gave it up horribly, but it was off a long layoff. The horse was on the inside and got pressed to a 22-45. I mean, he's faced much tougher horses. I'm going to assume that this one's faster than Dr. Phil, who used to be, or Mr. Phil, sorry, who used to be a very fast horse also. This just looks like a pure wire job, guys. And I guess it's an all or nothing, but based on who's inside of this horse, there's not a lot of early speed. I just see the 4 breaking, going to lead and wiring the field. And if not him, I think Mr. Phil, who has a ton of backlash, could just sit off and go by with blinkers on. So I'm not being very creative. We'll talk about the 1 here also, guys. I just think it's one of the Rudies, unless someone goes crazy up front and tries to beat them. Mitres por ciento. Pete, why don't you talk about this one? This is a coupling with the 1A, and I'm really upset about that. And actually, I need to make a change because I should be going 4-6-1A, guys. So I need to switch the banners, Pete. As I switch the banners, and I'll explain why I have the 1A is in the 8 hole. Was one of those situations that I didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, talk about which one do you like, by the way, the 1 or the 1A? Sorry, both you guys.
I like the 1. I don't know. Who'd you like, Paul?
I like the straight 1. Yes.
All right, we'll talk about the straight 1, guys.
Go ahead, Paul. You want to tackle that one first?
Yes, I didn't realize. I'm trying to. My PPs didn't have the numbers, so now the entry has thrown me off. So,
Right.
yeah, I thought the horse. I thought the horse ran pretty well last time, albeit at Parks, Finger Lakes, and Parks. But has been around. Has been to Keeneland. Has run here at Aqueduct. I believe best number in a while last time. Now it was in the mud, so that's a question. Trevor McCarthy really hit his stride the last few weeks of 23. Jeff Engelhardt spots horses pretty well. I think the horse could see a decent trip from in here. Last go around in New York for this horse, as he's 9, because you cannot run at double digits in New York, so they're going to try to get one more a year out of him. And you got to love a 9-year-old gelding that has earned $363,000.
It's a lot of money. There's a question on which Davis is on the 7. That's Dylan Davis. That J is for jockey. That's from Mike Carmoli. That J there is the jockey, Dylan Davis. A little confusing. I can see why he was asking that question. Isn't the 1 going, Pete? Because my sort of cute opinion here is the 1A, and it was cute until I realized they were coupled. But the 1A is a closer, first deputy, and the 1 is the speed. So you think the 1 is going to go. My problem with the flat 1, Pete, is this horse, at least on paper, is not nearly as fast as the 4 or 6. So if this horse doesn't get the lead, I didn't really see a way that the flat 1 could win. But I suppose, who knows?
Well, this horse has won multiple races coming from just off it. So that was what I was looking at, was that if the 4 and the 6, and
Okay.
now that we're sort of talking through the horses, I think I even I kind of like the 4 more than the 6 as we're looking at them.
Yeah,
so I know I picked 7-1-6. I sort of think I would maybe lean more 7-4-1 now, in all honesty. I don't know if you want to switch up the banner. Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, I think I would more go 7-4-1, kind of what you were talking about. I think the 4 is the best speed. So if the 4 just goes and doesn't get caught. But I do think the 1 can just sit the rail. And again, 9-year-old, you never know what's going to happen, but was sort of running pretty well late into his 8-year-old season. So it's not like he's lost his, fastball, whatever that may be. It's topping out at maybe 75 miles an hour at this point. But still, it's again, I think there's some wins here. And there were some wins in the last 10 races or so. And the horse is 5 for 10 at Aqueduct. Likes the distance, but I do think could just get the good trip sitting on the rail.
Guys, if first deputy was not coupled, I'd really like this horse, especially underneath. But now that it's coupled, I'm really not going to talk much about this horse. I just think this has the first deputy's got some dirtied up form, and I think there's speed in the race. I think it's one of the better closers in the field. So, but again, I'm not going to drub on, guys, because
that would have been a nice underneath if it was double digits.
Yeah, this would have been a real big reverse key at like 10-1
I agree.
for me, but
Yeah.
That's why I hate couplings, but that's a whole other story for another day. Anyway, I'm not going to drudge on. Striking speed is going to probably make or break the sequence for me, guys, the 7. Either you guys are going to be exactly right, and I'm just going to be foolish, or I'll be right, and, we'll be, fading this horse to some extent.
Is he off your grid completely, the 7? Is he
No,
off
I've
your
got the 7 right now as a B as in boy. I might downgrade to a C, but you're not always alive to the B's. So right, the 7 might stuff me into a locker. I don't know. We'll see. Let's look at our pick 5 tickets, guys, and then we'll call it an evening for our first Picks and Ponies show of 2024. Paul, we're going to go to you first, sir. Here it is on the bottom of the screen. Paul's pick 5, 145 with 1237. With 6-7, with 4-5-6, with 1-6-7. Now, Paul, I know you're really good at math, and I understand that Santa Claus came last week, but Pete, this is getting a little, I don't know, I might have to give him attention. This is getting a little crazy because I want these guys to stick to it, under 100, because I know a lot of people don't play tickets even this size, but you know what? It's the first one of the new year. So happy New Year, Paul, but don't give me a 108. Nephew, don't give me a 108 next week.
But the way these sequences go, 100 is not a good number because you can never get to 100 unless you go 5 by 4 by 4 by 2 by 1 by 1.
You can't go 5 deep in a race.
It's funny, Paul. Every one of my tickets that I kept breaking down was 108. Every single one I had kept being 108, and then I cut one and then added one and got to 96. So sometimes I don't like the ticket, and I know what you're doing is you're like, if I cut this one, I just don't like the ticket as much, and it's going to go.
I just said, Pete, I just said I'm not, screw Uncle Howard. I'm not cutting.
Well, that's what I was trying to be.
I'm not taking that kind of time.
I was trying to be a little more. I was trying to be a little bit more diplomatic than that. But yeah, we don't give a squat. Yeah, that's
anyone who wants to go with the ticket. I'll send them the $8.
Paul, let me ask you a question. I know we're digressing, but we got a few minutes here. I'm a teacher, right? When you were a student back in the day and the teacher gave you an assignment, did you just say, F that teacher, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want?
No. In high school, when it was very structured, I was very, very good. I was not good in college when I was left to my own devices and went to class. The classes were so infrequent, and I had 4 dog tracks within an hour drive. And yes, there was a week that I did go to all 4, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I digress. I digress.
All right, Paul, before we get people clicking off screen, let's talk about your construction here.
Yeah, well, I think, Pete, I believe you mentioned when we were at the 6th race that you thought it was the toughest race in the sequence. And, I'm not a caveman guy, but, I got 4 out of the 7 in that race. So I guess I agree with you, Pete. And
me too.
I don't have, we should have mentioned, Howard, in that race, the 4 Shazando is owned by Steve Bick, DT Stables. Horse is 0 for 22, but has earned $144,000.
I saw that.
So that's not bad. That is not bad. So I thought that was the spread race, and I did go too deep in the High Oak race. Not that efficient, but I don't want to single High Oak, and I don't want to get beat by him either. So again, I won't be playing the caveman. Although that last race in the sequence, you can make an argument for a caveman ticket and just lean on your opinions, lean on your strong opinions elsewhere, and then spread in that race and punch the ticket a few times, because I'm going to have a very hard time delineating A's, B's, and C's in that closer, Howard.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. By the way, Mike Carmoli wants to know what school you were referring to. Maybe he's from your
high school, it was Matignon High School in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and college, it was the College of the Holy Cross in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Okay, there you go, Mike.
Catholic school, grade 1 through 16, and I'm wearing Catholic boy, so there you go.
Pete, that explains a lot. That's all I'm just kidding.
I went K through 12 Catholic school, so
Wow.
we get the same. Yeah.
Maybe we need a separate show about religion or something. You could,
you don't want to do that. You might lose a lot of viewers.
And I'll talk
yeah,
about
we might lose some viewers then. Yeah.
No, we don't want to mix horse racing and religion or politics, any of that nonsense. Let's go to your pick 5, Pete. 1-6 with 1-3-5-7, with 3-7 with 4-5-6, with 1-4-6-7, $96.
Yeah, I felt like I could have gone. You could have gone deeper in any of the races aside from odds. I mean, you're not considering whether it was a good value or not. I think just based on who could win the race, I went shorter in the first leg because I just thought I didn't. There was too many horses. I didn't want to play too many in that one. The second leg, I agree, Paul. I thought that was the toughest. And I kind of have a couple decent prices there. Nothing. I mean, they're all small fields. So you're not getting great prices. I went against High Oak because I like Set Sail in that third leg to actually win the race. But again, I do think High Oak by far is the class. So it's not like I'm tossing a favorite that I don't like. I just think I like Set Sail a little bit better. In the eighth, I'm sort of chalking it up a bit and going 3 deep, which again maybe isn't the smartest decision, but I sort of like the 4 and the 5. If I had to cut, I would cut the 6, but I had to put Jesse in again for the wife. I don't want to lose a pick 5 on the show and have my wife say, "I can't believe you cut Jesse and you didn't have the winning ticket on the show." I couldn't do
lose
that.
a wife for that matter. That would be a little worse than the ticket.
I don't think she's going anywhere at this point. I think she's. I've done a lot worse things than that. So if she's stuck around through them, I don't think this is going to be the wing that puts it over the top. So. And then
good point.
In the last leg, I think I'm sort of with Paul, where it's chalky, and again, it's not the most efficient, but I thought the last race was wild. So I'm like, now I have 5 horses with the entry. So I figure, why the hell not? So I'm sure one of 2, 3, 5, or 8 will be a lock because I don't have them.
Yeah, it's a tough race. It's definitely a tough race. Paul's getting a lot of questions and love tonight from Jeff Amster. Do you understand what this question means, Paul?
Yes. So it would tell Jeffrey, it was, I had Plainfield in Connecticut, Wonderland, Raynham in Massachusetts, and Lincoln in Rhode Island. Those are the 4.
Okay. Horsey Dave also makes a very astute comment. Goodness, the Catholics train these guys to be gamblers. Sure, why not? There's nothing in the Bible that says you can't gamble, is there? Maybe there is. I don't know.
I hope not. Hey, look, I go to church every Sunday. I'm in Saratoga. Okay.
Right. Then again, the Bible says a lot of things that don't apply to anything remotely close to 2024. But don't get me started. I don't mean to not being disrespectful. Just point of fact. Anyway, all right, let's go. Wow, but this has been an interesting first show.
Yeah. Well, that's because you only read one of the Testaments, but that's another story for another day.
Well, anyway, I don't really read either Testaments, to be very honest. But to me, to me, it's all about the golden rule. That's pretty much how I live by. Right. I think that's all you need. Just treat people how you like to be treated. I think it's pretty much that simple.
Right, and that's why you don't mind when someone spends an extra $8 on their pick 5. You do the right thing and treat them well.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go. Good call on that one. Here's my pick 5. And you know what, guys? I might completely veer off of this when I think about it. And by the way, the 8's a mistake because the 8 was the 1A. So I got to change this real quick, guys. Hold on a second. I don't have the 8. The 8's like some complete. Watch the 8 win like 30-1, guys, in the last race. I don't have it. Anyway, yeah, that's not even $72. How much is that? I'm screwing this up. I don't even know how much that is. What do we got? 3, 6, 12, 24, 120, 60. I know you guys are like, I don't see the ticket. How the hell do I know? All right, it's $60. I'm making a job. I'm going old cheapo tonight. We'll go cheap. 145 with 1-5 with 3-7 with 4-5 with 1-4-5-6-7, $60. And I just want to put this out there because, of course, we are live on YouTube and thousands upon thousands of people are going to watch this video and listen to us. Don't chuckle, Pete. We got a huge audience.
I was thinking more millions, but okay, if you want to, a little bit.
I might go like spread 4 and single the 4 in the end. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud as I'm speaking. I might just single the 4 and go for it because I love airports so much that I might just single the 4 in the end. Guys, this is a tricky sequence, even though it's smaller fields. You see, I'm mainly going 2 deep. I'm not going to rehash. I do have Set Sail there, Pete, as you could see, along with High Oak. And by the way, High Oak's ownership, Paul, that's the same ownership as Casa Creed, correct?
Yeah, Lee Einslidler and Mike Francesa.
That's Casa Creed, right? Yeah.
Yep.
But
Correct.
one of Pete's favorites again. Just one that
I
was a
love
shout out.
Casa Creed.
That was an
Yes.
homage to you, Pete. Just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Anyway, the
Yeah,
last race.
I voted Casa Creed third for male turf horse, by the way.
Really? Okay.
Just as a
He had a solid year.
he does a solid year every year.
He does. I think you have to either spread or take a stand in the last race. I'm choosing to spread right now on air. I might on my own Saturday, depending on scratches and track condition and whatever. If Speed's playing well, I might just single airport and just go for it and try to get a price somewhere else. So, guys, this is a very interesting sequence as we wrap up what's been, as usual, a very fun show. Our very first show under the banner of Picks and Ponies, but of course, we've been around for quite a while. Final thoughts, Pete Visco on the first card. There was some nice 3-year-olds that won last week, Catching Freedom and Otello, who's a horse I actually saw down at Payson, which is another fantastic facility, another story for another day. I saw our boy Sierra Leone down there, as you guys know as well. Anyway, any final thoughts, Pete?
Hopefully you didn't put your stink on Sierra Leone like you.
I did not. I gave him a big hug, and he told me he was going to win the Derby and make us happy.
I mean, we know that. And Michael Austin in the chat, I saw that he had Sierra Leone in the Racing Dudes Kentucky Derby draft, so he's going to be riding along with us. But I think it's the new year turns, and that when we start thinking Derby, and it's never too early to start thinking about the Derby race. It's fun. It's actually you mentioned that I started fooling around with a little bit of Derby rankings, a little bit of the first crack at a little bit of top 10 or something, just to get it going. It's a little tougher at this point because you have some horses that have only run once or maybe twice, but it's a good time. Let's start 2020. Hopefully we could start 2024 right with this sequence and keep it going for the rest of the year. Let's start cashing some tickets.
Absolutely. And Paul, you and I and Jim Pillars, we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk Triple Crown Monday, but we are going to talk about 3-year-olds a little bit. I don't know how you feel, Pete and Paul, but I remember last year thinking we haven't seen like a wild performance yet. It just didn't seem like 3-year-olds were great early. This 3-year-old crop looks like it could be really good because last week we saw good performances. I mean, Fierceness ran off the screen in the Breeders' Cup. There are a bunch of other good 2-year-old performances last year. Paul, I got a feeling this is going to be a very good 3-year-old crop. It's just a gut feel, but final thoughts for you.
Yeah, we'll talk Monday, but I didn't see it live, but on the replay, I thought Catching Freedom ran very, very well in that race. To take note of concern for, it might have a chance to run second in the Derby. He ran so well.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's going to win the Derby. It's no sense in carrying out the drama. But although I don't know, see Pete, he goes to Florida on his own, Pete, and he breaks the rule. I told him he was supposed to stay away from the horse, and he couldn't wait to get up there and
couldn't wait.
Schmooze with the horse. So.
Doesn't listen, Paul. Just doesn't listen. Trying to jinx.
If I go down in January, I might tell the horse, "Hey, see that guy who was here earlier? Forget him. He's bad luck."
You need to do a little hypnotism to forget that day.
I don't know. He seemed very happy to see me, guys. I think I saw.
All right,
smile.
good.
I don't know.
All right, good. Yeah. So no, it is good.
I will say one thing, Paul, since we're talking about the horse, we'll just end in this convo. He is totally opposite than Tapit Trace in a lot of ways. They're both talented, but he's a little. I showed you his last workout.
Yeah, he's athletic. Yeah,
he's not like a big horse, but he looks really athletic. He's got a turn of foot. I'd rather have that kind of disposition than Tapit Trace, who I'm proud of the pick, but he just was lumbering, just could never get over that. That's not an issue at all with Sierra Leone, at least as of now.
No, I mean, the issue of them not being that big, the 20-horse field becomes an issue because as you know from seeing it up close now last year, and it is bumper cars sometimes down to the first turn, but the being athletic part does come in handy because you often that race have to make your own trip, right? And that would be the type of horse who could do it. So, and I love the fact that the first week of January we're talking about the first Saturday in May.
Isn't it great? That's I love it. He's not small, by the way. He's just medium. He's medium built. Guys, fun show. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to a big 2024. Once again, our general schedule now going forward. Mondays, Horsing Around, which is going to be a recap show, a lot of fan interaction, and fans actually on screen along with special guests. And it's going to be a bit of a shorter show, by the way. It's going to be about 45 minutes max on Mondays. This Monday, Again, what is it, January, I believe, 9th? Is that the date, guys? No, the 8th, I think.
8th.
January 8th is going to be 7 p.m. Eastern. After that, it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, we have Ben and Booze on Wednesdays and Picks and Ponies, this show, on Thursdays. For my co-hosts, Pete Visco and Paul Haller, and everyone out east, by the way, stay safe in case the weather does get a little bit crazy on Sunday and whatnot. I have been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 322 of Picks and Ponies. Crush your bets in New York this Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.